Wow. Just not sure what to say about that. They even put this in major science journals. This fellow said, the observable universe could have evolved, I got to watch that word, from an infinitesimal region. In the Greek, that's a dot. He said it's then tempting to go one step further and speculate that the entire universe evolved from literally nothing. Yes, boys and girls, we all came from a dot, and the dot came from nothing. They call that science and put it in a science book. I think I'd call that a fairy tale and put it in the garbage. I said, Professor, what happened to your dot? He said, well, all the dirt in the universe was drawn into this little tiny dot, and it was spinning. It spun real fast. That's what the textbooks teach. It spun faster and faster. And finally, one day, it exploded. Big bang. And pieces flew off, and they became the galaxies, sun, moon, stars, and finally people. Here we are. I said, sir, could I ask you a couple questions? He said, sure. What would you like to know? I said, well, sir, you told me 20 billion years ago all the dirt got together for the big squish and the big spin and the big bang. Where did all this dirt come from? Who made matter? He said, we don't know about that for sure. I said, all right, sir, now hold it. If I told you that I believe about 6,000 years ago God created the heaven and the earth, you're going to say, and where did God come from? And I don't know. But you said 20 billion years ago there was a big bang, and you don't know where the dirt came from. So basically, I believe in the beginning God, and you believe in the beginning dirt. Don't tell me my theory is religious and yours is science. Oh, no, sir. They're both religious. The news media tries to make it look like it is science versus religion. I did a debate in El Paso, Texas, and the news media said, see, this is religious and scientific leaders debate evolution. What are they trying to imply just by the headline? They're trying to imply that evolution is part of science, aren't they? When it's not. Both are religious. See, both creation and evolution are inherently religious. The difference is the evolution religion is tax-supported. That's the difference. And by the way, they couldn't survive without tax support either. Now, these two timelines are on this table right here. The top timeline represents what the Bible teaches. 6,000 years ago, God made everything. 4,400 years ago, there was a flood. 2,000 years ago, Jesus came. And here we are today, waiting for the Lord to come back in about 5 minutes. That's the Bible view. Amen. On that timeline, 1 inch is 150 years. That's a long time. If I was to make the 20 billion year timeline the same scale, it would actually need to be 2,100 miles long. That's from Pensacola to Portland, Oregon. I don't want to carry a chart that big, so I made a new scale for the bottom chart. Anyway, the professor said he did not know where the matter came from, so I said, well, sir, could you tell me where the laws came from? Who runs the universe with these laws? Gravity, centrifugal force, inertia. Who's the lawgiver? He said, we don't know that for sure. I said, oh, sir, could you tell me where the energy came from? It takes energy to make something move. Who bought the gas to run this machine anyway? He said, we don't know that either. I said, sir, could I ask you another question? And he said, sure. What else would you like to know? Else? What do you mean else? You haven't told me nothing yet. I said, does Berkeley, where you teach, have a merry-go-round? How many of you know what a merry-go-round is? You go round, round, round till you puke, He said, no, we don't have a merry-go-round at Berkeley. I said, you ought to get one. You could learn some good science on a merry-go-round. If you put some fourth graders on a merry-go-round, any fourth graders in here tonight? Who's in fourth grade? Going into fourth grade. There we go. All right. I like fourth graders. I spent the best 5 years of my life in the fourth grade. That's before they diagnosed ADD. We're going to put some fourth graders on the merry-go-round, and we will get the high school football team out there to get it spinning clockwise as fast as it will possibly go. Now, if you have a digital watch, you may not know what clockwise means. I'll explain it later. We're going to spin the merry-go-round clockwise. The kids are going to go through 4 phases. They start off in phase 1. They'll be screaming at the football players. Come on, let's go. Faster, faster. Can't you go any faster? You get up around 30 miles an hour. The kids enter phase 2, where they stop screaming. They just quietly concentrate on trying to hang on for dear life. When you get to about 60 miles an hour, you enter phase 3, where they start screaming again. But now they're screaming, stop, stop, please slow down. Don't stop, though. Keep going faster and faster. When you get up around 100 miles an hour, you should enter phase 4. That's where the kids begin to fly off the merry-go-round. Now, when this happens, you will notice an interesting phenomena of physics. If the merry-go-round is going clockwise, when the kid flies off, the kid will be spinning clockwise until he encounters resistance, like a tree or a telephone pole. That's because of a law in physics known as the conservation of angular momentum. You see, if a spinning object breaks apart in a frictionless environment, which the Big Bang would have been, all the fragments that fly off will spin the same direction. That's because the outside is moving faster than the inside. The professor said, yes, I know about the conservation of angular momentum. I said, well, good, sir, then I have a question for you. If the universe began as a swirling dot, Big Bang, like you said, would you please explain to me why 2 and possibly 3 of the planets are spinning backwards? He said, that's interesting. I said, no, that's more than interesting. That's kind of hard on your Big Bang theory. Not only that, at least 6 of the moons are spinning backwards, and some travel backwards around their planet. Why? He said, I don't know. Why do you think they're going backwards? I was hoping he was going to ask that. I said, well, sir, I believe it's very simple. You see, I believe in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth, and God did it that way on purpose just to make the Big Bang theory look stupid. Now, I do believe in the Big Bang because the Bible teaches the Big Bang. In 2 Peter 3:10, it says, the heavens shall pass away with a great noise. In the original Greek, that's a big bang. So there's going to be a Big Bang, but it didn't happen yet. So kids, if you go to school and some teacher says, do you believe in the Big Bang? You should say, yes, I do, and you better get saved and get ready for it. The Big Bang is coming soon to a city near you. By the way, if the Big Bang theory were true, the matter would be evenly distributed, and it's not. It's lumpy, called galaxies, and in zillions of miles and nothing, called voids. The Big Bang theory is a dud, and they've known it for years. Even famous astronomer Hoyle said, I have little hesitation in saying that a sickly pall now hangs over the Big Bang theory. They would have thrown it out a long time ago, except they don't have a replacement theory yet. Other than, God did it, and they sure don't want that one. The second law of thermodynamics tells us everything tends toward disorder. Everything is falling apart. If you leave something alone for a while, it's going to rot or rust or die or break down or fall apart. Just about everybody here has a job because of the second law of thermodynamics, if you stop and think about it. And you spend most of your day trying to overcome the second law of thermodynamics. How many know what I'm talking about? Okay. Clean the house, fix the car, clean the house. Always something to do, right? The Bible teaches the second law. In Hebrews 1, it says, the heavens are the works of thy hands, they shall perish. They wax old as doth a garment. See, nothing gets better by itself. Take a look at your hairdo when you wake up in the morning. You will see exactly what I'm talking about. Everything tends toward chaos automatically, right? But the textbook says, oh, boys and girls, we're getting better. Humans probably evolved from bacteria that lived more than 4 billion years ago. Was your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa a bacteria? The evolutionists will say, well, now, Mr. Hovind, you don't understand. See, if you add energy, you can overcome the second law of thermodynamics. A person can walk into a room that's disorganized, and by adding energy, they can organize it. Well, I understand, but you have very flawed logic here. They'll say, the earth receives energy from the sun, and therefore the second law doesn't apply because the earth is an open system. Well, I understand real well, but you still have a flaw in your logic. You see, the whole universe is a closed system. For the earth to get energy from the sun has to lose it. So where did the sun get it? Secondly, adding energy is destructive unless there's a mechanism to utilize the energy. See, the Japanese added a whole bunch of energy to Pearl Harbor one day. They did not organize anything, did they? We returned the favor a couple years later and added a whole bunch of energy to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And we did not organize anything over there either. The sun does add energy to the earth, I agree, but it's destructive. The sun's energy will destroy the roof on your house. And if you don't fix it, it'll destroy the entire house. If nobody was allowed to touch the highway system in California, nobody touch it for 200 years, much of it you would not be able to find, and most of it you wouldn't be able to drive on. in less than 100 years. It's all falling apart. The sun's energy will destroy the roof on your car. The sun's energy will destroy the paint job on your car. It'll destroy everything. There's only one thing that can actually use the sun's energy, and that is chlorophyll. If it weren't for chlorophyll and plants, the sun's energy would make the earth like the moon. And by the way, one plant cell is more complex than an entire city.